What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Deal Fishing Podcast. I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike, and Kevin has found his music again.
What's up, everybody? We appreciate you listening. We appreciate the Boom Squad members that are here. We got Uncle Jeep that has been waiting in the podcast waiting area for almost an hour. And if you don't know what I'm talking about our fantastic Boom Squad. Those people who have bought a monthly membership to the Palmetto Cats YouTube channel. And he went to town. And
Seven messages.
and they get to watch this recording live. And so we're live right now, but not when you're listening to this. But we're live right now, and Uncle Jeep is in the chat, and hopefully others will join him soon. But we got an interesting show. We're going to talk about reels today. Anything we want to talk about. We really don't have a plan, just that whatever the conversation is going to be out is about reels. How do you feel about that, Mike?
I was wondering if you were going to be open and honest about that.
Yeah,
I've written down like
Mike.
7 little notes here, but Kevin and I were talking about completely different stuff for the last 20 minutes.
I just text Mike and I was like, hey, let's talk about reels. He's like, 10-4, I got it. And that's what we're going to talk about, because I want to talk about reels in general. But we're going to talk about brands and maintenance and all kinds of whatever we can get into in an hour. We got another Boom Squad member joining, Mr. Sogo. What's up, Sogo? So if you want to catch the video replay of this podcast and you're not a Boom Squad member, you can check out our YouTube channel. We're over 100 subscribers now. The Real Deal Fishing Podcast YouTube channel, where you can actually see me doing the weird stuff with my hands right now. Yeah, you'll never see that if you're listening. And Mike's going to do something crazy too. See, you don't know what he did. You don't know what he did right there. So you got to go check out
Pros.
Tony Harrison is in the house. What's up, Tony? So Mike, I'm getting excited. Before we get into reels, I'm looking forward. We got 2 weeks to go, and then we'll be in Kansas City, man.
I know. I can't wait. Last time I told Lauren I was going to give you a hug. I was going to give you a big dad hug, pick you up off the ground, and your little legs were just going to kick and flail about a little bit. And then I didn't do it.
Yeah, there's no little about me.
You might get that this time, buddy, because it's so crazy. I mean, you think, hey, that's awesome. I get to see my friend twice a year who lives at such a distance.
Yeah.
But then you're just like, man, twice a year. That's like,
it's not a lot.
It's a long time. It's a long time in between getting to see your friend.
True.
You know?
True.
So I'm really looking forward to it. I may actually pack my bag this week because laundry's clean. Laundry's clean in 2 weeks. Who knows what my status
could be. Gotta get those tidy whities clean.
Yeah.
There's Freddie's Outdoor Adventures, and he just dropped a dodo. Wow.
Oh my.
Thanks, Freddie. Appreciate that. Thanks for the $5, man. Freddie's awesome. Freddie's got new rods out, y'all.
Yeah.
FOA rods, and he's going to be having those in full force at CatCon in Kentucky, he said. Well, that's his hope anyway. So check out Freddie's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel for more information for that. And that's a free plug for you, buddy, because
that's right.
Well, it's not free because he just donated. And he's a Boom Squad member.
Yeah.
But it's a plug in general.
That's love, though.
That is love.
That's love either way.
I love my Freddie. I love all my Boom Squad members. But anyway, so yeah, we'll be in Kansas City, Missouri on October 7th and 8th. I'll actually be there the 6th as well. And we'll be doing the Catfish Conference at the Bartle Hall Convention Center in downtown Kansas City, Missouri. So if you're in the area or you're within, a couple hours driving distance, you want to come hang out with me and Mike, Steve Douglas, and I mean, a bunch of big names are going to be there. And anything you need catfishing is going to be there, y'all. Anything you need. It's only like a $10 entry fee. And then you can get in, minus all your parking and stuff. And but if you're definitely in the Midwest or right around that region, I urge you to come out. The first time we did it was last year, and it went off great. And that was the first day of rifle season. And it's not this year.
Yeah. Passionate hunting folks around here, and apparently the Midwest has fantastic deer population.
Oh, here too.
So it was a mismatch.
I get it. I get
For
it.
the
But
last time.
now the Catfish Conference people are well educated and they have moved it to a different date. So here we go.
Absolutely.
But check it out. Mike and I will be there. My wife will be there. Mike will be running the Fisherman Swap Shop at Kansas City. That's kind of like his job, among other things. There, he became like an advocate for youth anglers there as well. But if you got something that you want to get rid of that's new or gently used, you can pay $5 and go in there and sell it. And you got a good chance of selling it if you put it for a good deal. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Catfish Conference. We actually have a surprise guest in today to talk about reels with us, Mr. Art Henderson.
What's
up,
up,
Art?
Morello?
One ton fishing club in the house.
Yeah, we had, if you remember, a couple weeks ago, we had Art on, and he said he enjoyed it so much that he liked to come up anytime. We'd love to have him. And since we're just kind of, I don't like the term free balling it, but we're free balling it. Freestyling it. That's what we're doing. Not free balling.
Freestyle. Yeah.
Freestyling. Oops. But it's free and we're doing it. So we're gonna move on before Kevin gets into more trouble. How you doing, Art?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Other than the free ball comment, we're good. But we're
Yeah.
talking about reels tonight, and it could be our favorite reels. It could be reels of the Boom Squad and chat. Reels that I'm even okay if you say reels you're not happy with, because we're gonna give you the real deal.
The
Here.
real deal.
And so let's Mike is kind of like a real connoisseur, and he really likes the spinning versions. So Mike
Yeah.
will be our spinning version guru, if you will. I have a particular range of reels that I like to use, one in particular now, but I can go over a bunch. And then Art, we're not sure what he brings to the conversation, but I'm sure it'll be magical.
Sure.
No pressure.
So I want to start out by saying that, I've only been targeting trophy catfish for about 3 years now. And trophy, I mean like catfish 20 to 100 pounds, That's kind of like a trophy, Otherwise, you're talking about eater fish, you catch them while you're doing other things, bycatches, or you're catfishing and you really just, you catch one and you're like, yeah, catfish, woo, and then that's it. But I'm actually targeting larger catfish, and I've been successful a few times. But but it's just the art of targeting. So I decided to get into the gear. I started off with Penn spinning reels. I grew up with spinning reels, fishing for just about everything. In fact, I can't remember as a child using anything other than a spinning reel, other than like a thumb buster, the Zebcos of the day. So I started off catfishing with the Penn. I think it was the Pursuit 3. Actually, I started off with a Shakespeare spinning combo, but I don't know what the name of the reel was. It's just a Shakespeare reel. But when I decided, hey, I'm going to chase catfish, I got some quality reels. So I got the Penn Pursuit 3 and the Penn Battle 2 in the 5,000 series. And I still have those. I have 2 of each, and I love those reels. They are just brutes. They're solid. You can't hurt them. They'll last a lifetime. And, when I want something, when I want the spinning reel fix, that's pretty much the only brand that I'm going to go with, other than a brand I'll talk about later, which is PC Fun. But I love the fact that they have the big power handles on them. The 5,000s are a bigger series reel than most other reels. In fact, since I started partnering up with PC Fun, they'll send me spinning reels to try out, and I can't find anything that matches the size of these reels, other than the Carnivore from PC Fun. So all the new spinning reels that come out with, I'm like, send me the biggest one you got, and it's usually a 5,000, and it's you would categorize it as a 4,000, looking at that pin. So I really like them. I love the little rubber around the spool. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like it's got a
Yeah.
little rubber thing around there to grab your braid if you need
Yeah,
it.
where you
Yep.
just spool off with.
Yeah, yeah. And the Battle is a more expensive reel. They come out with the Battle 3 cents, but it's a saltwater reel and it's kind of gold on it. It looks really, really sleek. But you can find those on Amazon deals. Like I think I got both of those for $75 a piece, which is insane. They're usually $120 reels, the 5,000. So I have those spinning combos on my Muddy River flathead rods. I got four Muddy River flathead rods spinning edition. I got two PC Fun Pin Pursuit 3s and two Battle 2s on there. So that's kind of what I started out with. And then then I transferred into casting reels, which might kind of help me with that transition. We'll get in that in a minute. Mike, what'd you start off with? Carp fishing or catfishing? What'd you start off with?
Well, it's been so long ago. I guess I'll say I honestly can barely remember much of the actual numbers, but definitely they were probably Zebco 33s and the spin cast with the buttons. And then soon after that, when we noticed that these spinning reels and rods look so cool, I think that I bought a Zebco, and it was probably a 1,000 size, because at that point it was all I could afford as a kid. I remember the first reel that I bought for myself and the first rod that I bought for myself, and I still have the rod, and I think my dad still has the reel in storage. But we would just get whatever we could. We would put a lot lighter weight line on that back then.
Yeah.
Because most of the fish that we would catch would not exceed 10 or 20 pounds. So we would go with maybe like mono between like 8 and 12 pounds. So we didn't need a tremendous size reel. We also didn't think that we needed a tremendous capacity until later on, when I was spooled by a carp and I watched 200 yards of 10-pound line go zipping off my reel in less than 2 minutes, and then he gone. So it's been an evolution for me as well, just like you said for yourself. I've been trying to evolve and figure out what is probably the best size and which reel brand I enjoy the most, and then started the addiction issues of, hey, I want to try them all. And here I am, 33 years after having bought my first rod and reel for myself, and I'm still doing it. And I do think that you've been a good influence on me, Kevin. So I want to really thank you for this, because a while back you said, I think I'm narrowing down my rod and reel of choice. And I'm like, we're supposed to do that? It's like, I thought we were supposed to try them
You're
all.
only supposed to do that if you're like me and you love things to match. And I've had this conversation with Mike over the past couple of years of YouTube, because I did it for YouTube, and I did it because I wanted to find the best combo for me.
For your application.
And so I bought or found different rods and then different reels. And we'll get into that a little more. But the fact that they didn't all match, like, I mean, you watch the channel, you probably can't tell, but it was killing me. I'm like, I loved when I had my ugly sticks and my pen reels, and they were like ching, 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 all same line, all same everything, same rigs. And then I got really into YouTube and testing out gear, and it's like, oh my God, what am I doing?
See, so throughout my life, my Uncle Jackie, my great Uncle Jackie, used to always say, I like to buy things in pairs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a fantastic concept. And then Iowa changed their laws and you could buy a third rod allowance. So then I'm like, ooh, I like things in threes. But then I became a father, and Lauren's like, Dad, this rod and a reel are too big and too heavy. I'm like, oh, I need lighter weight gear. Okay.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
Things have been changing, but that's me. That's my situation. That's where I am right now. It's what I'm trying to learn. And I very much enjoyed listening to your perspective on it as well. I feel it's helped me, and now I'm ready to listen to Art's perspective.
So Art, you and the guys recently started targeting the big catfish too. So what did you guys start off with?
Yeah, it's been about 3 years, like you. We what I started off with was a couple of well, one was a spinning Shakespeare. I can't remember what exactly it was. I bought it at a flea market because I was just getting into it, and then the other one was a bait caster. There's a really old pen,
Mm.
and it was on like a short stat. It was like a surf fishing setup type thing. But after I got that, and then we started YouTube, and I couldn't cast a bait caster, so I bought spinning. I bought the Akuma. I think I saw Chunky with the Akuma Avengers
Yep.
with the bait feeders on it, and I like the
Right.
bait feeder option because when I was first learning, Josh was like, I run clickers all the time. You know, just want to hear the drag, and then you go reel down on the fish. So that's what I started with was the two Akuma Avengers. I bought two. I think they were the 8,000s. They're humongous, like way bigger than you need. But I keep them now. I was gonna set them up on my two Big Cat Fever rods, but I was gonna set them up for flathead, like leave like a slip float type rig on it. And it still has the bait feeder option, and it's a lot easier to cast out heavy, like I wouldn't say bulky, but just like awkward weight shifting when you're throwing out the bobbers with the sinkers and all that, like
Yeah.
true floats. But I turned those into carp rods. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you know, funny enough, I grew up with spinning rods, but we never had the bait feeders on there. We never had it.
I didn't know what that was until I got into cat.
I didn't. I'm like, what is it? I think Mike taught me because he was talking on maybe my real talk, the first one I did, and he was like, yeah, it's got a bait feeder on it. I'm like, yeah, what is that? Who cares? What are you talking about? And then I was like, oh, that's the clicker. Because what I would do is it's kind of what I do with my round reels now is I set the drag a tiny bit lighter than I would if I didn't use clickers, and I engage the reel and I turn the clicker on so that it has to pull drag for the clicker to sound. And because I fish in current, and if you just put clickers on, you're just going to click, it's just going to drag it out. So I put the clicker on while the reel's engaged. But with the spinning reels, I didn't have to do that. And the pens I was fishing with that I just talked about, they have such a loud clicker on them that I would just set the drag and you hear zzz, and So
Yeah.
I never knew that you had two drag systems on a spinning reel.
Yep.
So those of you who didn't know, you can have two drags on a spinning reel. One is for the fish to take the bait and to notify you that the fish is taking the bait, and you can set it for certain sensitivities. And then once you engage the reel or flip the switch, whichever you decide to do, the fighting drag clicks in, which is, of course, what you want. So interesting fact there.
Yeah.
So then I got into, so really I had no reason for changing to spinning reels other than I convinced myself that when I'm dragging baits, the line would roll off the reel better on a casting reel on the boat, which it does. When I'm dragging baits, the line does come off a lot easier than on a spinning reel. Spinning reel, you kind of have to touch it and flip it every once in a while because it gets hung up on the spool. But really, I just wanted to look cool. And so, and there's more rods available in casting, catfish rods, than spinning, in which Mike knows. He's shaking his head now. Unfortunately, they don't really take care of you that much when the spinning, although Catch the Fever is starting to do that now. On the Hellcat rods, they always had the Catch the Fever spinning rods.
Yeah.
But they're not as pretty. But yeah, so I decided, hey, I want to go to the round reels, and then I discovered they're uber expensive. I was like, holy mole. And then so I kind of told Michael at the time, and he's like, hey man, I have casting reels that I never ever use. Would you like to try them? I was like, heck yeah. So he sent me Old Red, was the first one you sent me, right?
Yep.
Old Red. It was like a 1980 something Abu Garcia. I still got it. Love it to death. Not using it at the moment, but still got it just in case. And then you ended up sending me another an older Old Red. That was the 1970s Abu Garcia. And then Anna found one at the flea market, an old Abu Garcia. She actually found 3. So I ended up having like 3 or 4 spinning reels because my wife does works for a storage company. And so they left it back in the storage, and she called and said, "Hey, you left stuff, throw it in the trash." So she brought it home. And so I got Abu Garcias for free. But anyway, that kind of started the addiction with, casting reels, and I kind of learned because it's different than bass, like the low profile bass reels. And people will say, well, the Abu Garcia reels, the ones that Mike gave me were bass reels actually. They use them for bass. My dad's got some that look the same. He's like, "Yeah, those are my bass reels from back in the day." So you don't really think about that, but it's so different casting 5 to 7 ounce weights on an Abu Garcia round reel than it is to toss a lipless, crankbait. So you have to get your bearings right. So that's how I learned to kind of use round reels for catfishing. And then Mike started talking about carnivores and Megatrons and all that. So I'll hand it over to Mike there.
Gas Kings.
Yep, I've gone through so many different companies, and honestly, it's been fun. It's been a great addiction. I won't say that it's been all scientific, because some things you just get them because you want them, or you see it and you're like, "Ooh, that's green, and it's going to match my rod, and it's going to look so awesome," or it's got some gold trim to it, and you're like, "Ooh, that's going to look really nice against that nice little yellowy goldish looking trim on that ugly stick that I got." But I've gone through, I was a Shimano guy for probably 20 years, just because Jimmy Houston Outdoors was Shimano for X amount of years. And I thought that was the coolest dude I ever saw on TV.
You got to have money to be a Shimano man now.
And the cool part about that was halfway through that 20-year run of terror, eBay was invented.
Yeah.
So people would put stuff up on eBay, and they didn't realize what they had. And I'd get $120 reels for $20 free shipping. And, because they put their stuff up there and they didn't want it. They just wanted it gone. So that was lovely. And then I started realizing, man, I think I need more line capacity, because that fish took 200 yards of line and broke me off. And, I love and respect everybody else's experiences, everybody that we've ever talked to online. Someone always said, don't use circle hooks for carp fishing. Someone also said, you don't need these huge reels with that line capacity. But he never had a fish take 200 yards of line and break him off at the spool.
Yeah,
And I
never had that experience either.
So when Art says that 8,000 size reel is too big, he's right. But also, too, Art's a huge man with gigantic hands, so he can handle that 8,000 size reel, no problem.
And Mike Murillo is just a small, nimble, little fella. He's not large at all.
But
there's some
if Art were to run into that same fish with that reel spooled up, he wouldn't get broken off like I would. He might get wrapped around a whole bunch of stuff, but at least he'd have a chance. He'd have a chance to fight it. And the reels that were made in the late 80s, early 90s don't have anywhere near the drag power.
Yeah, that's true.
That current reels have. So I was outclassed. I was soundly defeated in 2 minutes. I'll never know how big that fish was. I know there's carp in that lake over 40 pounds, but I don't know if that was just a mean 30-pounder or if it was a 55-pounder that would have broken our state record. And he decided he was going out deep, and that was that. But I've loved the journey the whole way. Very much now I have my favorites, just like Kevin was saying. He's found his favorites, and I still credit him for trying to get me into that thought process. But I've also still bought just as many reels each of the last 3 years as I did the 3 years before that.
Listen, you
So
put
if
a
anybody
deal
needs a
up.
spinning reel, hit me up.
Look, you put up a deal on YouTube community tab the other day, and I went and looked at it. I was like, hey, man, I'm going to get one. I'm like, why? Why, Kevin? I was like, I'm never going to use it. Why am I going to go buy the Auric? It was a great deal. But I'm like, when am I going to use it? I just, I can't do it. So
I think they make that in a 5,000 size. I think
it
that
looks
the
a
new
lot like the
Captain-
Penn Battle.
the new Captain is the one that you want, because I think they make them in 6, 8s, and 10s. Because you say that they don't make them in the sizes big that's comparable. Well, now they're starting to listen. They're starting to give that a little bit of a try. But also the Captain is once you get into saltwater ready equipment where it's all sealed and everything stays nice and safe, they do need to get some bigger sizes, because people are using that out in the saltwater, and the price is amazing compared to some other reels that cost twice as much.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Tony Harrison said, I have this Fish Nor Lethal LT60 spinning reel I bought at CatCon that I haven't used yet. Does anybody have any experience with it? I've never heard that before.
No, but they're a good company. Finnor is a good company. They make some good quality stuff.
Sure. All right, Art, now that so we're talking about like our introduction to the next phase in real life. What's yours?
My favorite?
Well, what's your did you test out any reels, or are you using the reels now like that the next step up was the reels you're using now? Because I have like multiple transition and drama and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I started off with the spinning. Then I transitioned to bait casters because I realized you can cast further with them, being a bank angler.
I'm gonna technically say that's may or may not be a myth.
Okay, well maybe it makes me feel
it does feel better though.
Makes me feel better about casting further, even
there you go. Go for it.
Put on it and all the fun stuff and the thickness of the line but Abu's probably my favorite, but again I want to start looking around, knowing that you can send them out, get them tuned up at a reasonable price. If I find them at a reasonable price, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
But price point, PC Fun, the Chaos. I have 2 or 3 of those. I have a Cast King Rover 70. At first, when I had it, I didn't like it. And the push button, where it pushes inside the casing, it bent and screwed up on me. I've bent it back. And ever since then, it's been my hot reel. Like, it casts really good. I catch fish on it all the time. Like, people have your lucky rods. Like, that's one of them that's been on makes my rods the lucky one all the time I catch fish on. Aside from that,
that's a whole nother conversation.
So Lew's, I like Laser XL60. I have 2 of those, and I recently purchased 2 Lew's. What's the one that's like $99? Speedcast, I think it's called.
Yeah,
it's a black model with the gold accents on it. Buddy of mine was selling a bunch of reels like $50 and $60 a piece. I went on my PayPal, linked it to my credit card, and said I'm going to have 4 reels, backup reels, and you can't. It's something you just couldn't pass up. He had some pens, but I didn't get those. And then also, I have 2 Pen Rivals 20. They're okay. I like them. They have good drag, and I like the handles on them. They can make some weird noises from time to time. Again, I'm not like big into tearing apart reels because tiny stuff and me just don't get along. Or not put it back together right. But I think that's the only. But
this is a big boy panel now that I'm thinking about
sure
it.
Is. It's pretty close to a ton. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, 1 ton part 2. We'll call that 2 ton. No, wait. Stop.
Part D.
Hey, we might be a half ton.
Maybe.
I think we make it.
We're definitely a half ton.
I think we make it.
Could definitely have done.
I'm trying to slim down, boys. That's
3
my
times
goal.
3. Yeah.
That's my goal for the next year. I want to get down to 280.
I need to do something as well. I've noticed, like, anyway, I don't want to get off on a.
Yeah, that's a whole different show there, fellas.
I'm only telling you because I need support because I love French fries.
Oh.
I love French fries more than I love fishing reels.
I just love food. Anyway,
It's
Right.
corn.
name of that Gas
He's
King.
got the juices. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Art.
What was that Akuma reel you asked me to test out at CatCon? Not Akuma. It was Gas King
The Recon?
Recon.
That's what
Yeah.
Paul Smith uses.
Yeah, I like it. Pretty good. I haven't used it a whole lot. I got it on my Whisker Seeker right now, and I really don't. I should
It's
be.
a big reel.
Yeah.
It is, but it casts pretty good though. It looks like a trolling reel, like it wouldn't cast.
Yeah.
very
But
good.
It does.
Okay.
So that's kind of like my transition. Is like, so I started going on Amazon, like Mike talked about, and I was buying every round reel that I could buy under $100. So I got the Ming Yang, I got the Rover, I got the I bought a Slime Cat, and then I hated it, and I traded it with D Fields, and she traded me a Catfish Sumo reel. And then I also got the PC Fun because Dieter Melhorn was using it. I got the wrong one. I got the 40, but so now I have a 40, 50, and a 60, and tons of 60s. But so I got those. Mike ended up sending me a Luz Laser, 2 of them. I ended up with, I think Jason Ward sent me my new Catfish Special Abu Garcia. He sent me one of those because I beat Chunky. In his own challenge though. That was when I did the 24-hour live stream, and he came in there at like 8 p.m. and said, "Hey, I challenge you." And
I remember that.
I beat him in the last 30 seconds.
That's
but
right.
I
Morning
beat him.
light.
I beat him nonetheless. So Jason was like, "Hey, do you want the Akuma or the Catfish Special?" I'm like, "Duh." and then I even got some that I still have, the irons. What was the brand for the iron? The starts with the O.
Oh man.
Had it in my hand when I fished with you. I can't. It's like brass looking, right? It's a brass.
Yeah, it's brass looking reel. It's an older brand.
It was new old stock. You said, right? It was new but older.
Yeah, brand new, but it was old stock. The iron, quantum iron.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was kind of like my, and then I got the I ended up making like PC Fun asked me to do an affiliate program with them. I was like, cool, whatever. So I had like 3 PC Fun. They sent me the 60. That was my first ever actually no, they sent me a spinning reel, the Viper. And that was my first I don't want to call it sponsor, but like affiliate thing. And I was like, oh, I got a reel, yeah. And I made that video, and then they was like, hey, do you want to try the new Chaos 60? I'm like, there's a 60? I said, heck yeah, send it on. And a lot of people think, because I fish with all 60s now, but I think a lot of people think that they gave me all those. No, I bought every single one except for one. They sent me one. So yeah, I went through those, and the reels just started failing me one after the other. Now the Quantum never failed me. The Quantum is just a smaller reel than I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a small handle on it, and they don't make power handles for it. And I was like, just not my thing. The Luz Laser started making funny noises, and then the drag failed on one of them. And so I sent those back to Mike and said, thank you. But that was after I made the choice to go to PC Fun. There's 2 reels, and I might cause a little drama, but I'm just being truthful, that I didn't like, and I thought they, performed poorly. It was the Cast King Rover. I had the 60, and and it's funny because I caught my PB on it. But the drag failed. After that, the drag just wouldn't work anymore. I could twist that star drag as hard as I wanted, and you could still pull line out of it. So I was like, well, I'm done with that one. I think I ended up taking it to CatCon and selling it for like $10 or something like that. And then the other one, surprisingly, but not surprisingly, because it's the same exact reel, just branded differently, is the Catfish Sumo reels. But the Catfish Sumo reels are $110 a piece. I guess because they come with a power handle and they're green. Both of those failed on me. I had two. I got one that I traded with D for the Slime Cat, and then I got one because Mike Murillo said the Sumo rods are on sale on Amazon at Christmas, and I bought one, and they sent me a reel instead, which was a cool upgrade. The rod was $50, and I got a $110 reel. But I think one of them, the inner workings, something broke in it, like a gear or something. And so I just put that one in the box. And then the next one, the drag stopped working on it. And I think I sold that one to Ryan Bortz. Sucker. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's actually loves it. He said he's repaired it and he loves it. But those are the two. And then the Ming Yang failed on me too. The drag stopped working. All three of those are the same reel. So if you kind of look at these reels online, the Ming Yang, the Cast King Rover, and the Catfish Sumo are the same exact reel, just rebranded differently. So that should tell you kind of all three of them failed on me within 6 months. And so that kind of told me what I needed to know about those reels. So I stopped using them. I don't know what happened right there.
Oh, are you okay? Can you see?
Ooh,
Continue.
stay away from the light, Kevin. Stay with us.
I don't know. We had a power surge, and all of a sudden, my brain went.
His light just went like full brightness on him there, folks.
I was like, Jesus?
Yeah, wow.
Jesus, have you
That
come to
light
get me?
might be made by the same
Yeah.
manufacturers of the reels that we were just discussing, and they have reached out to punish Kevin for his honesty.
So that's kind of like my first little thing, and then I have one more transition before I got to where I am now, but I'll pass it over to Mike so that my eyes can recover.
Yes, let's give Kevin a break here. He was just sunburnt by his ring light there. It just went nuts on him.
So I wonder, Mike, before you start, are the slime the same? The slime cats look very similar to a Cast King also.
I think they're pretty similar. I think a lot of it has to do with just the colorings of the like what color they're painting there. But again, slight differences keeps you in the good graces of being your own, having your own product versus somebody else. When you open them up, it's almost shocking how the inside design is nearly the same, or it's just ever so slightly different.
Well, if I can interject too, it's kind of like the rod companies.
Yep.
They find a manufacturer that works well with you, has got great shipping, and is fast, and then they all make a different version of the same rod.
Yep, absolutely.
Not all, but
some.
You see similarities.
Yeah, some very much so. This is definitely where I like to remind people, because people will reach out to me, via messenger or text message or email or whatever, and be like, "Hey, what do you think of this? You ever check this one out? What do you think of that?" I try to remind everybody that right now everybody's telling you that they've got twice as many bearings as some of these other companies, but that's also because they're putting two bearings where one bearing can go. So that's how they're doubling the number. Doesn't mean it's not smooth. That's okay, but I'm just saying, don't get romanced by the statistics. You definitely want to look at the quality of the gears.
Do not get cuckolded.
Yeah. You want to pay attention to the design. I consider balance to be a result of the design versus the weight, and then you have to really consider the rod that you're putting it on, because some of those rods handles are very different than other rod handles and lengths and also their weight. Because if you have a lighter weight rod, you may be able to get away with a slightly heavier reel because of that delicate
that
balance, one
that
versus
feels
the
weird
other.
to me though. That
It
feels
does.
weird. Like to have a
It
light
can.
rod with a heavy reel on it.
It can.
It's just like,
Yeah.
ugh, I don't know.
And then you have to understand too that if you go lightweight rod and lightweight reel, it may just be exactly what you need for that specific application. And then you're romanced, and then you look at your other stuff, you're like, man, I don't like this as much because this is 5 times as heavy. You know, my dad bought some reels, and he's like, oh man, I'm getting the 5,000 size, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that, and it's because I have them. It's like if you'd have told me, I could have put it in your hand before you even ordered it. Now he
That's
didn't
why
care.
it's always good to go to Catfish Conference so you can try things out firsthand.
Exactly.
October 7th and 8th, Kansas City, Missouri.
That's right. We'll be there. We can help you. Now, the crazy part is he didn't care because he used code CAT18 on PCFun.com. He got exactly
how
what
much
he
does
wanted.
that save you?
That saves you 18%, and it helps support Palmetto Cat's show.
Do you have to have a
all of his
minimum
endeavors.
purchase or a maximum purchase? Do you have
What's
to spend
that?
a certain amount to get the discount?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you could buy one single item and it would still work. And most of the stuff on their website is free shipping. So fantastic. Now he wanted the smaller reel. He's like, man, these are heavy. I'm like, I could have told you that. I was like, I don't recommend the 3,000 for his specific type of fishing, because at the 4,000 size, it's just ever so slightly weighs more, but you get more drag power. So I was like, look at that. Pay attention to these little details. Then talk to people like me who love to open this stuff up. Art just said he doesn't like to open up reels.
Me neither.
Listen to how many reels Kevin wore the drag out on them, and he didn't want to fix them.
Nope.
So he sold them at a discount rate.
And I'll tell you real quick, other than the Catfish Sumo, the Rover, the Ming Yang, the Rover and the Ming Yang were $50 reels. So that's kind of like I'm setting the precedent for what I'm about to talk about in a minute. But those $50 reels, you got $50 worth of catfishing out. Now I catfish a lot, but anyway.
Like you said, I'm not going to try to talk bad about anything, but if Kevin has literally gone through 2 or 3 years, a reel shouldn't fail like that. It just shouldn't. So puts a bad taste in my mouth. That's not even my equipment.
And I know one guy that fishes with those Rovers, and all he fishes with Rovers. He loves them, and he says after a year I throw them away. I'm like, after a year, okay,
yeah. And that's another great philosophy right there in itself.
Yep.
After a year, some people, they just buy new reels. They sell those reels as used. They just buy new reels. That's how they do it, because they expect that reel to perform extremely well. It's like a bowling ball. Bowling ball, the first 15 games you throw on a bowling ball, they call it the honeymoon cover stock, because it will hook mean. It will hit hard when it takes that big old turn towards the pocket. But then after that, it tames down a little bit. Maybe reels do that too, but they shouldn't. The drag shouldn't fail you. It shouldn't.
Not nowadays.
Weaken. Shouldn't weaken that much.
The drags are put, and that just goes to show you, like, where they're skimping on parts.
Yep.
So where is it? Where are they taking advantage of the price, or where do they get that price from? And that's plastic gears, and I don't know what the drags are made of, but probably plastic drags as well.
They're little carbon fiber washers.
Yeah.
And they also have just a standard metal washers inside there as well. And the amount that they have in there helps to create that much drag pressure, that drag force. I think I should say force. Now, another thing you can pay attention to is when you open up the box, sometimes these companies send you additional drag washers, which is fascinating. But also, too, part of me, and I hate to sound negative, part of me is just like, why are you sending me something extra here, do you expect it to fail? But
You know what
some people, they take skinnier washers and they
Uh,
add more because you have that finite amount of space.
yeah.
But if you add more, that's what creates that additional friction that increases that power.
You know, I
So-
learned that in the spinning reels, I thought they were drag washers that they're sending, but they're spacers for the spool.
Yep, they'll send spacers for the spool.
That's
Yep.
crazy. Like, because there's so much margin for error there that your
Mhm.
line may not spool. And I never knew that. I thought they were like drag washers or something.
Yep. Yep.
But no, that you put them in the spool in case your line is grouping up near the top or the middle or the bottom. You space it out. Art, you haven't talked in a while.
Yeah. So as far as reels failing, I'm gonna keep the train going with the Cast King. So as a group, we bought 50, and same thing.
50 reels?
No, 50. The Rover 50.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have said more. So we bought a Rover 50. That's the one with the thumb bar release.
Yep.
Little push button.
That's the one I had too, not the 60. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think Kyle had a 60, and we just weren't impressed with it. I mean, just like you were saying, the drag. It seemed like it just was. We were fighting a fish in a river, like a 3 or 4 pound channel cat. I'm like, why is the drag pulling out? No matter how much I tightened it, it kept going out. I was like, all right.
Mine would do that too, and it would also do that sticky stop. That and the slime cat reel did the same thing. Like it was just like it wouldn't stop it all the way.
Yeah. So then, in that same reel, that I can't remember. Which I know the 70 has 2 spool tension. You know, one's for aligning the spool.
Right.
The one's to set your tension. Because when I called to get a replacement part, one of the knobs had fallen off of that 40, I believe, or maybe it was just one knob. No, it was 2. And I'm not sure of the guy's name, but I think he was at CatCon at the Cast King booth. He says the one over by the Star Drag, because it doesn't come from the factory perfectly centered. You center it, and then you set the tension with the outside knob, the tension of a spool for when you're casting. But I'm keeping the 70 because it's still working. I probably wouldn't buy another one. Probably not. I mean, I saw on Amazon it had a really good price, and I almost pulled the trigger, and that's when my buddy had those other ones for sale. But Josh he bought the Min Yangs, and what's the other one that starts with the S? Something like that.
Sugaling.
Yang.
Yeah, and they failed on him. He literally heard it breaking when he was on the boat with Dan Green Machine and Mike Chavez, and he had 2 big fish, and I mean he got him in, but like he broke 2 reels on that trip, and they're the Min Yangs. So he wasn't impressed with those.
I kind of like breaking reels once in a while.
The
Buy more.
one issue I have with them, if you don't get the handle back down when you release the lever action, it locks.
You're talking about the pins now.
Yeah, so it automatically has like if you can cast it and automatically locks back in from free spool to engaged, it'll do it mid cast if the handle's up toward the tip of the rod. If you don't have that handle back down and then release, it'll lock mid cast. I don't know how many times I either broke line off or threw the bait off or something. Other than that, I've liked those reels.
I've used the pins too, and they're fantastic reels. No qualms or quarrels with those. The only thing that I look at is that they're so heavy. Like they're meant to be like beat. They're meant to catch giant fish. It's kind of like my spinning reels. Like they are meant for business. And if you don't like a heavy reel and a giant handle all the time, then it's just not fun for me.
Yeah, I think the Penn Rivals are in that price range with a lot of those cheaper reels. Like that's their lowest end that I know of.
Yeah.
Bait casters or the ram reels are concerned.
Yeah, our friend Sogo sent me one because it was on a deal. I think $35.
Yeah, I think they're normally
Amazon.
60.
And I used it. I used it for like 2 trips, and I just couldn't get over the size of the handle. like you said, you cast it out and that handle would hit something or engage or something like that. But yeah, I'm a believer in pins. Like if they made a smaller reel, I would love it.
Yeah, I mean, I like them too, but as far as like the failure, just the Cast King so far. Now, the PC Fun, I don't think it's really much of a defect, but the screws on the side
Yeah, they do.
coming loose on the 60s, and I think Josh has a 50, and he might even have a 40 Chaos that he had to tighten them back up, but I
Yeah,
would Loctite back on them if you were going to be one of those guys where you wanted to open it back up and work on it. It didn't happen to me because I tightened them as soon as I got them because I think Kevin, you even talked about them.
yeah. And I talked about the only negative thing I've had happen. Now I've had one of the 50s. The thumb engage kind of stuck a little bit, but once I worked it for a while, it was fine. But the screws, definitely, if you get them out the box, I'm not sure why they don't tension them down. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I took all my reels off the rods, and now if I get a new one, which hopefully I'm done buying them, but I go ahead and tighten every screw down, and haven't had any problems since.
Yep. So I had LG Bass, the Abu connoisseur. He casted one of the PC funds and he liked it, but I'm not gonna. He's not gonna switch back to Abu.
No. And that goes to my next point. It's like once I love Abu Garcias. I think they're probably for our community or our industry. I guess if you can call it an industry, I think they're the best reels on the market for round reels. They're tough, they're time tested. People work on them. You can get them repaired. There's just one thing: they're expensive. And so that's kind of I started buying them. I found a deal at Cabela's when I went up to visit Chunky Cats, and they had a striper special in there, and I got it for $50.
Wow.
So and all I had to do was replace the pawl on it. So I got that one, and then I ended up getting two more catfish specials and a carp special, and I really like them. There's nothing wrong with them. I and people might not believe me because I have this code with PC Fun, but it is what it is. I prefer the PC Funds over the Abu Garcias. Do they feel as rock solid as an Abu Garcia catfish special? No, they don't. But they're not $160 either.
Right. Yeah.
So
Was that
Yeah, four of them for $160.
yeah,
was that an Abu pun when you said time tested? Was that an Abu pun?
I caught that too.
Get it? I learned from your trivia night, and I went off a rabbit hole watching Abu Garcia and the history of the company.
Yeah.
Making they made watches.
yep.
Yep.
And then
Watches.
the company owner was such in love with fishing, he started making reels.
Yep.
And they had casting contests.
There's a whole documentary on YouTube.
Yep, I watched it
About Abu Garcia, and that's where I got the trivia question from.
Oh man, it was so
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. But yeah,
Love
Abu
it.
Garcia they were watchmakers, clock makers back in the day. And who would have known they started making bass reels, and then catfishmen would start using them. But yeah, I love the Abu Garcia. Go ahead, Art.
Sorry, they have the same slogan as us for life. Abu for life, one tonners for life.
They stole it from you, right?
I
But
Honestly.
I love those Abu Garcias, and I just affording. Here in South Carolina, we can fish with as many rods as we want, and so I usually, when I'm fishing off the back of the boat, I fish with 6 to 8 rods, and 6 to 8 Abu Garcias is it's expensive.
Money.
Yeah, and so and then here's my next thing. So to what I'm using now, I'm using. I have PC Fun 50s, Chaos 50s. I have about 4 of them, but my favorite is the PC Fun Chaos 60. It's commensurate to an Abu Garcia 6500 and a 7000. It's kind of in between those. You get awesome line capacity on it, and the drag. The 6000s have 22 pounds of drag. and you can hold up to 330 yards of 40-pound mono. So I use 25 and 30-pound mono, so I even get a lot more on the spool. And that helps me for when I break off. I don't have to worry about, if I break off and I got 50 yards out, I don't have to worry about respooling it. I got enough on there to keep fishing with the reel. But they feel like they're going to be cheap out of the box. And I'll just be straight up. Like when I got it, I'm like, there's no way this is lasting. People would ask me in chat, what do you think of the PC Fun reels? And I'm like, well, they've been great so far for the price. They're smooth as a Cadillac. They don't make any noises when you reel them in. They don't, the clicker is fairly loud. Like some reels, you throw it out and you hear, zzz, you hear the sound of the reel. There, I mean, it's silent almost. You hear the line coming off the spool. And I told people, I was like, well, we'll see how long they last. I really have high hopes. And then the second year went by. I'm like, hey, these things are getting better. I started buying more of them. And then this year, like Mike said, I pulled the plug. I was like, nah, that's it. I found the reel I like. I've had two of them. I've had one of them, the one that PC Fun sent me, for 3 years now. Never maintenance, never lubed it, never sprayed anything on it. I've tightened the screws. That's all I've ever done. And that's my ultimate point, is that I've used these reels now, most of them for 2 years, and some of them most recently just for about 6 months. But one of them I've had for 3 years. I've never had one break down, and I've never done any maintenance on them other than changing the line and tightening the screws. And with the discount code they gave me, I can get a 60 for $48. $48. And so I sold all my Abu Garcias, and I bought a few. I think I sold 4 Abu Garcias, and I bought 6 PC Fun 60s. And still had money left over. Now they make all kinds of reels. Their spinning reels are great. Mike uses a lot of those, and he'll talk about those probably. But I've tried out the Viper and the Carbon X. They only had one spinning reel that wasn't a banger, and that was the Alloy M, or Alloy X, I think. And they sent me one, and it was terrible. So those of you who say I won't say anything bad about PC Fun, that Alloy X was terrible. And I think Mike broke one. And then I stopped using it. It's in a basket outside. And I emailed PC Fun. I was like, hey, this reel sucks, and you're charging a lot of money for it. It's like the 5,000, like $130. And I said, you're charging a lot of money for a reel that's terrible. And they said, yeah, they stopped selling them, and they reworked it, and now they have the second generation out. Haven't tried it because they haven't sent it to me, and I'm not paying $130 for a spinning reel I won't ever use. But that's kind of what I like about them. I also have 2 of the Salus X 3000 models. They're kind of like the trolling reel you were talking about. They are monster reels. And I think Art, you used one when you came down and fished with me.
Yeah,
it's just too big. It's like those pin reels you were talking about. It's just a monster reel. And then I have the low profile reels, the Alios reels, which the only thing, a lot of guys use those for bumping. I know Ryan Bortz and Bobcat use them for bumping, and
Yep.
I don't bump, but they're great reels. I have 2 of them. I have them for down rods. The only thing is they don't have a clicker on them, so I think that's the one mistake PC Fun made with those. But yeah, I'm gonna have the U.S. marketing director Jason Brennick on in October to come talk about the company. And it is a Chinese company, but they have employees here in the United States, American employees, that do their marketing and everything over here. They're in China, but they have German machinery, which I think is why they can sell a cheaper reel that lasts the test of time, because they have upgraded parts in them. So that's my little spiel about that. If you can afford the Abu Garcias, I'm going to go ahead and tell you to go ahead and get them. Get you a whole line of them. If you like round reels, buy them all because they'll last you forever if you take care of them. But if you're on a budget and you want an awesome reel for a cheaper price and at least last 3 years, that's where I'll cap it. I'm not going to say they'll last you forever. I doubt it, but they've lasted for 3 years. One of them, check them out. Code CAT18 at PCFun.com. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. I don't
Hold on,
exactly.
hold on. We got a question. Sorry.
I don't exactly.
Jeep asked, this is more directed at Michael Murillo. What bait runners, bait feeders have you tried, and what sizes do you like for the fish you're targeting? Great question.
Okay, this is awesome because Kevin has touched up upon this, and this is the great part about fishing in different areas of the country. All of us have the species, that the other one has, but the size is also different. This also matches up with Uncle Jeep. Uncle Jeep may not have, gigantic fish, within close reach of him. So he had told me at CatCon he was looking for something a little bit more compact. He doesn't need a gigantic rod, and he doesn't need medium heavy, extra heavy, whatever. He doesn't need all that. It's a smaller scenario for him. So I got to tell you, Jeep, the reels that I've been gravitating towards throughout this entire season have been 4,000 size, Carnivore X, and Akuma Avenger. They're both bait feeders, just as you asked right there. I feel these fish these reels could easily bring in that freak show fish that we don't know is in our waters. Because even yesterday morning, Lauren, I was like, get that rod. She goes over, she gets this rod. And I think that she's probably got like a 10-pound carp on there. And then I start to think that I'm wrong, because that medium light action rod is just bent and she's struggling to hang on to the handle. I'm like, what is this? And then I'm thinking to myself, there can be channel cat here over 10 pounds, and those suckers are mean, and I love every bit of them. But we couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. The fish stripped out some line, then it charged towards her, went to the left, then it went to the right, then it went back out, then it came back in, then we finally saw its tail. And I'm like, oh, that's a mean channel cat. It ended up being a little under 5 pounds. But so Chanel number 5. But that was a 4,000 size Carnivore X reel, and I had no worries that even if it was a 20-pound freak show carp that showed up, I knew the reel could handle it. And they are so smooth. To me, they are like Penn with half the price. Now, do I know if they have the exact same quality? Not yet. I don't know that. The reel's only been in production for maybe a year and a half. I think it was or maybe 2 years ago, November.
Yeah, I think at least 2 years.
I think it was a November release, if I remember correctly. I think it was right before Black Friday, or maybe a month before. But these things are gorgeous. They are well built. The 4,000 size is incredibly lightweight. Then you got the Akuma as an option, even lighter weight, silver. So you got a black option for the PC Fun. You got a silver for the Akuma, so you can make yourself look good, match up to whatever rod you're going with.
Cat says that's the number one rule.
That's right. The number one rule. We got to make ourselves look good. Again, just because I want to save anybody money that I can. Amazon, oftentimes you have awesome deals on Akuma fishing reels, and CAT18 at PCFun.com will save you 18%. Not going to lie, every now and then they'll do some seasonal or some clearance option where they may throw codes out there up to 30% off on PC Fun. I mean, that's
Yeah, that
to
makes
me
me
that's exciting. To me, that's exciting. It shows me that the company is clearing some shelves.
Yeah.
They got some more stuff coming. They need some space. They want to make sure that they're growing well as a company. They're going to keep providing us awesome products. I
Yeah.
think it's a cool deal.
It's kind of weird though, being an overseas company, they'll have stuff on Amazon that they don't have on their website.
Yeah. I
Like
think it
that,
goes Amazon first.
like as Ulrich, but now they have the Ulrich on their website, AURIC.
Yep.
So they had that, and then they'll have other ones as well. But one reel that I did a video for, and I was actually editing it, and then I went to the PC Fun website to get some specs to do some voiceover, and the reel's gone, and it was that Thumbbuster reel, the SC, that was the bait casting reel, the like the Zebco.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't trash the footage, but I was like, well, I'm not going to edit a video for a reel they don't have. So they do stuff like that, and I think maybe if it doesn't perform well, or their sales aren't that well, or they're getting bad reviews, like they stop selling it. Like they don't keep putting it out there. Which, say what you want, but if your product isn't doing well, you have to stand behind it or stop selling it.
I thought they might have just sold out of them because I kept it in my wish list on Amazon and it was out of stock in a heartbeat.
It
I'm
could
like,
be,
whoa. I was
but
like, I think
usually
they
if they go
sold
out of
out of
stock,
everything.
usually if it goes out of stock, they'll put out of stock on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen a few other things pop up on there and then gone instantly, like you said. So you never know. They could be small runs, could be a trial. Who knows what they're up to, but they definitely make some decent products. I have been skeptical. I've been slow to judge, and then at times I'm like, there is no stopping this. This is wow.
Kevin froze.
Are we still here? Art, you're staring at me. I think
No,
Kevin froze up.
just froze.
All right. Well, hey, we've been yapping. What you got? You're next, Art.
What am I talking about again? Go to
Well,
now.
we're going to change the show now. For the second hour, we're going to start talking about rods because Kevin said, don't talk about rods, dude. Let's just talk about reels. Yeah, Kevin bounced out for a second. He'll get back in. Continuing with the whole topic of reels.
Yeah.
There are people out there who know way more about reels than I do. There are people out there that know more about other reels that I don't know as much about.
Right. Like I don't think we talking about bait casters around reels. I don't think we mentioned the name of Okuma. And
Yeah.
I think they're like a price range. There's I know Kevin doesn't like the clicking and it sounds like a winch.
Yeah.
Fishing with Billy, I believe is his YouTube channel name.
Yep.
He
Billy
runs
uses
nothing
the
but
Okuma stuff.
Spencer Bauer runs
Yep.
Cold Waters.
Cold Waters, and that may not be their intended application. Like even the other day on their podcast, he was talking about how they're probably more so meant for like people who are dragging baits, like maybe walleye fishermen or muskie fishermen or something. But I have used that equipment on his boat with him, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
So like Kevin said, go somewhere where you can get your hands on this stuff.
Yeah.
Get a feel for it. See what you think. Just try to make sure the best advice we can give anybody. Try to make sure that you're trying to purchase something for your usage and not just because it's shiny, not just because it's the new thing, not because it's bigger, so it must be better, because that's not true. Bigger is not better in all cases. And I will argue that with anybody, rods or reels. It's you just got to get the right thing for you so that way you can fish the way that you need to fish where you're at.
Yeah. And Kevin, we were talking about like the one name brand that we didn't bring up that probably should have been for round reels was Okuma.
Yeah, I've tried out the Okuma Classic and the Okuma Classic Pro or XLT or whatever it is. And again, they're just winches. Great reel. I mean, you reel it and the line comes in. So if that's what you want, and I know Joe from Chat Cats, he uses them. But I think there's, and I don't know, I feel weird saying this, but I I feel the fish in the reel more than I do the rod sometimes. And because when you're reeling, you feel the tension on the reel. With the Akumas, it's just like, yep, I'm cranking it in, and the rod can just be bent slam over, and you're just cranking. That fish is coming in. And the drag isn't very good on those either.
But they're a good price point for beginners.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you can get Akumas at Walmart.
Yep, that's another
Yep.
thing. Availability. You can
Available. Yep.
pretty much anywhere.
Yep.
I see the Akuma Classics here, and then like the gigantic Shakespeare spinning reels are like the two catfish
Yeah.
you get here at this Walmart.
You can get the Shakespeare pen knockoff at Walmart too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what brand it's knocking off, but looks just like a pen with the big power handle, and it's
Yep.
just called Shakespeare.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry guys, all my internet went out for some reason. It was weird, but that's what you get for doing a live podcast.
Probably
Me and Art kind of stared at each other for a second.
But what
And
I was
then-
saying, I don't know how much you heard about it, but I really like that little SC thumb buster reel from PC Fun. Like I've been using it, and
Oh,
it's got the little drag on the top. It's not very tight, but
yeah.
you get a nice hand sized bluegill in there, and it's
look too though.
that's fun.
It looks
Comes with 10 pounds, a 10-pound line on it. It wasn't very expensive. So I hope that you're right. I hope that it's just out of stock. So they took it off the website because, I was ready to put a video out. Uncle Jeep said same company owns Penn and Shakespeare. Yeah, you can see that.
Yep. They own a lot of the fishing companies. Shakespeare is Ugly Stick,
yeah.
Penn. What else is there? Fenwick, Berkeley, Abu Garcia, and I don't even know who else, but it's all owned by the same company.
Zebco too, or is Zebco its own company?
I think Zebco's on its own. Now, the only reason why I know that is because their warehouse is in Spirit Lake, Iowa, which is one of the most fantastic lakes in Iowa. Mitchell, there's the other one that they own, Mitchell, and Stren. But I think Stren. But I've always told Kristen, if a warehouse position opens up in Spirit Lake, Iowa, I might actually move. And she's like, you be going on your own, and I'm like, yeah. So we'll cross that bridge if we ever get
Let
there.
me visit the kids and have conjugal visits, please.
They have a outlet store across the street where if someone gets a rod and it's got a busted eye or the insert in the eye is busted, they send it back. So like if Walmart gets 10 rods, these are all busted, they go back to Spirit Lake, Iowa. They get fixed, they go across the street, and you can buy refurbished, out of warranty, sold as is Ugly Sticks for $5 a piece, $10 a piece. And you'd be shocked what kind of equipment goes inside there. And you're just like, is this really that rod? Yeah. $10. It's like, okay. So that's why I ended up fishing Ugly Sticks for as many years as I did.
Shakespeare used to do a giant sale in Columbia, South Carolina every year.
Really?
And my dad still whines about it now because he's like, man, they got rid of the Shakespeare sale. He would go up there and buy 15 rods just because they were a good deal. He spent like $200 and come back with all kinds of Ugly Sticks and surf rods and all kinds of stuff. Another reel we didn't mention is Ancient Mariner.
Yeah, I was
Dieter Melhorn was using it, and they kind of came out on the scene, and then some stuff happened, and then they weren't on the scene, and now they're back on the scene. So I think, I hope that it's a different like casing. I hope it's a different reel than like the Cast King and stuff, because that's another reel that kind of looks similar. And we could go into the Avets and the Shimano. I mean, there's tons of round reels, but we're just talking about the ones that like the catfishing guys use most in
Yeah.
our community. Um, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, the I remember the first rod and reel combo that I started catfishing with was Shakespeare Contender, and my dad got me two Shakespeare Contender combos for spinning combos for Christmas, and that was like my catfish. That's my catfish rods, and they were dusty in the corner. And I remember I got that little bass boat, and I was like, I'm gonna take the catfish rods today. And I got some green shad from Walmart, a red shad, one of the two, which we laugh about now. But and I'm a cane pole guy, man. I'm a brim buster guy. Shell cracker brim. That's me all day. So I threw out the red shad and set it in the bottom of the boat, leaned it up against the rail, thinking nothing's gonna bite that. Turned around to drop the anchor, and I heard splash, and there it goes. And then that's how I was hooked. So I had one Shakespeare combo after that, and then started the real addiction. Get it? Real addiction.
Real addiction.
But that was my final words, guys. What about you, Art? What's your final kind of take on reels?
Yeah.
Advice or do's and don'ts?
I definitely, if you're a beginner, go for the cheaper stuff to learn, and definitely try a bunch of different ones, because certain ones will meet your certain needs, or have different, what is it, idiosyncrasies about them.
Ooh, SAT word.
Yeah, that might appeal more to you than others. Me, if I can afford, I'm like you, Kevin. If I could afford Abus, I would have every single one of my rods with an Abu, with Abu spares. Um, I'm going to start saving some money here soon. We always say that, right? And I'm going to try, going for some of the not refurbished, but like yard sale type things, looking there, talking to, local people. I got some of them reels at home I don't even use. Some of the older guys, or like people you run into when you're fishing. But
Estate sales.
hmm but for right now, it's between the Lose Laser XL and the PC Fun Chaos 60. I like the push button aspect of it, and they just cast good, and they have decent drag. And I mean, again, the biggest reason I like Abu the most is because I caught that 92 on that one. But
That'll make you fall in love with a reel real quick.
yeah, really quick. But that's really it. I mean, just spread it out. Try different ones. I wouldn't stick with just because I like this one, or Kevin likes the PC Fun, or Marilla likes the bait feeder spinning reels. I mean, which I still like those, because those were the one thing I didn't really like about them. They're not loud enough. So because we spread out a lot on the bank, but I still like them. And I got a little excited the other night. I caught a little baby carp in the net, and I kept it. I was going to use it for bait, and we were sitting there, and he's starting to come up to the surface and get some air out. And I'm like, dude, I'm letting this carp go. He's too cool looking. So I let him go.
Aww.
Now I know that there's carp in the area, so we got to get together and do that live stream we talked about. I'm going to try carp fishing there.
Heck yeah, we will.
Bank if you don't have to. Abus, or if you're going to be in it to commit for a long time, Abus are definitely where it's at, as far as like you can get them and take care of them and have them forever, a family heirloom, pass them down to your kids or whatever. That's where I'm at.
Mike?
Well, fellas, I probably have 5 different bait casting reels in my bait casting reel list on Amazon that I pay attention to all the time. And I probably still have 8 or 10 in a spinning reel Amazon list that I pay attention to all the time. But right now, I can honestly say that I don't need another reel to come into this house, except for the ones that are coming in, the one that's coming in tomorrow. But that was a deal I couldn't refuse. They cut me a discount on it that I just couldn't walk away from. And I got to tell you, Lauren just absolutely loves that size of that reel. She loves the power handle on that reel. And watching her battle that 5-pound channel cat and enjoying every bit of it yesterday morning was just more proof that that is absolutely the perfect reel for her right now. Leia's 2.5 years younger, so that'll go right in there. I was devastated when I saw that reel from PC Fun was all bought up, and then all of a sudden it's like ghosted us because Leia is still using push button reels, and I can't stand these Zebco 404s that I have. I would give every one of them away right now to any little kid I see and just try something different. So I missed out on that. I didn't jump on it soon enough, but you never know. They could be back on the website tomorrow for all we know. Anything could happen, or there could be
You might just get one in the mail.
it could happen. Anything can happen, so we don't need to get negative about it. And like Art was saying, you don't have to go expensive. The PC Fun Flame is a fantastic
I have that one too.
reel series. I bought some 1,000 size reels so my girls could catch bluegill for bait for me. So, and they are the tiniest little spinning reels you've ever seen. Tiny little handles. They don't carry. You can put like, I don't know, 60 yards of 8-pound line on them. What do I need 8-pound line for anyway? I could probably get away with 2 or 4-pound, but even then that would double the capacity. I don't need that much line on there because they'll blow it up. It'll happen. But these little reels, I have seriously thought about trying to catch catfish and carp on them because I have not been more impressed with a reel that literally cost $15 after utilizing code CAT18 on PCFun.com. I am so impressed with this reel series. They are fantastic little reels. Art showing a picture right. That is a champion reel right there. I think the little thing has 10 bearings in it.
And they have them in blue now too.
And now they're black and blue. They're black and red, so you can match differently. They are lovely, cheap. If the kids break them, so be it. Freddie just mentioned the Zebco 33 Max. I have literally broken 2 of those in the last 2 years. Zebco will never get another penny from me, and I spend a lot of pennies on fishing. So trust me, they're going to feel that hurt sooner or later. But just like Art said, try to match it up for you. Go out there. I really hope you catch a monster. Kevin mentioned when we're at CatCon, I kind of turned that into something different that weekend. So I took some stuff and I said, if I see little kids walking around and their dad's getting something, but they don't have anything, I don't feel good about that. I've been an uncle for as long as I care to remember. Now I'm a dad. I want that little kid to have that feeling. So that's when I was like, all right, if someone comes up, they want to buy something, I'll sell it to them. I'll just take whatever price they're willing to give me for this equipment. But if I see a little kid, I'm giving a kid a combo. And that happened. And then it happened again and again and again. And then our buddy Jason got in on it. And Steve's like, this is incredible. Then we did it at CatCon, Kentucky with our friend from Anvil Rods. It was just great. That made me feel so good. But we're going to be doing that again. And I love doing that for people. That's it makes me feel better about everything, but because I want them to catch a monster.
Yep.
I do.
Yeah, man. And I can't wait to see those smiles on those faces. Hopefully people will be just as generous this year.
I hope they come back. I hope one of those kids from last year's Kansas City CatCon comes back. If one of those kids tells me they caught any fish on anything that they got last year, that'd just make my day, make my year.
Yeah, man. So just a couple things to mention before we go. PC Fun's come out with another reel that I have that I'm testing out. It's called the Voltix. It's a jigging reel. Now, the one they show on their website is much bigger than the one they sent me, but it's a conventional reel, which means it doesn't have the line
Yeah.
spooler on it, which I have got to get used to. But you can't cast it. I mean, you can try to cast it, but it's not going to go well. But it says it has 72 pounds of max drag. So that should kind of give you a little, if you do any saltwater fishing, jigging, that type of thing, that's what it's used for. But right now I'm using it for a down rod or down
Yeah.
reel.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the funny thing about Anvil, you might be hearing some news coming soon, guys, about Anvil. So get ready, and that might be blasting off here soon. So that's all. That's all the hints I can say. Might be some news coming soon. Maybe, I don't know. That being said, I appreciate everybody listening. Remember, you can watch this live stream playback on the Real Deal Fishing Podcast YouTube channel. There is a link in the description to this channel, Palmetto Cats, Mike's channel, Mike's I was about to say Mike's memoirs, but no,
That's right.
Murillo Family Fishing, and we'll even put the one for Art, 1 Ton Fishing Club in there, so you can check him out. You'll find the discount code for PC Fun that we've been talking about, a link to their website, and you can find our merch link. If you want some merch, you can get some shirts or some coffee mugs or some hoodies, and we'll say thank you, mister, and we just appreciate it. But we're gonna head out. Mike, you look like you got one other thing to say. You look, or either that or you.
I know we're on YouTube, but I also want to mention that you guys put some awesome content out on TikTok as well. I enjoy both of your channels on TikTok.
Thank you. We're having a lot more fun over there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And one last thing, Freddy's Outdoor Venture said if that all works out, we'll be giving away 2 FOA rods with a PC Fun Chaos 40 reel combos in Kentucky in February. Nice.
Awesome. You give them to kids.
Yep.
That would be awesome, Freddie.
All right. Well, like we do every time we do a podcast, we're going to pray it out, and then we'll see you next time. Heavenly Father, I thank you again for this podcast that you've given us. We thank you for Mike. Thank you for Art. 2 awesome friends. We just love talking about fishing. We could go on for hours, Lord. And we just thank you for blessing us with the opportunity to do that when so many people struggle with just basic life. So we thank you. We feel we don't take it for granted, and we know that you're involved. And I just thank you for all the blessings that you've given me. Pray all this in your name. Amen. All right, everybody. You know the deal. Till next time, happy fishing.